Welcome back. We're talking with Jan Smith. And Jan, you work with some of the most well-known performers in the world. And you've seen these young kids go from singing in church or putting a YouTube video out there to overnight sensations. What is it really like for these kids when they go through this process and experience the vortex of Hollywood?
Well, it's probably the best description is being like hit by a freight train.
Wow.
I imagine it is.
Our industry is very difficult to navigate, and it moves very fast, especially when extraordinary amounts of money get involved in the picture.
Imagine.
And that catapulsion to stardom, it's a really fast-moving lifestyle, and it kind of has to be to take care of the public consumption. That's the other piece of that. When people want to know and they want to have and they want to be a part of something or see it or support it, there's an awful lot of momentum that moves that train pretty quick.
When you work with a youngster like Justin Bieber, do you prepare them for that part of it, or just the vocal training, or do you also prepare them mentally for what's about to hit them head on?
I do my best. I think that the position that I'm in is very unique because I get to talk into the hearts and lives of the artists that I work with, and they trust me, which is another unique position to be in because they know that I'm going to tell them the truth regardless. I don't really get caught up.
That's a good thing.
It is. It is. I don't really get caught up a whole lot in the stuff that goes on around them, and I also know it because I live in the industry.
Right. Yes.
So and I've lived my life. I've made my own mistakes and fallen from grace. So for me, it's about really being able to speak into their lives and help to give them at least a voice of stability.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You know, I had to look up the word vortex because I wasn't real sure I knew what it was, but it's a whirling mass or a black hole.
Yes.
So I got to thinking, are there any that you can think of that you've worked with through the years that haven't fallen into that
well,
have avoided it?
It's not about avoiding it. It's about navigating through it, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And I think that's really more of how I would look at it, and also tell them to look at it.
Yeah.
But to also, it's like the you know, be in the world but not of the world is very, very difficult when you have that kind of pressure on you. You know, we talk about Justin a lot because people have seen me be visible in his life and in his stardom. But when you think about a young man who was literally a teenager, a kid coming from a small town in Ontario, and all of a sudden being one of the most Googled names on the planet Earth. On the planet Earth. When you're going through puberty, how many people can even relate to that kind of pressure? So,
Jan, I'm so glad you share stuff like that because we see the other side of it. We see the things like that Justin Bieber does, and we are all back here saying, you know, how caught up has he gotten, and how far away has he gotten from his roots? And and it's sad for us, but it's good to hear from you that there's always another side to the coin. You've also got to say, what is that person going through, and what is that person experiencing?
Absolutely. And also, you know, to remember the pressures that people are under, and not everything that is written or that you see is necessarily the truth as it is. Not always. So.
Do you think you're going beyond just vocal coaching, but just pouring into their life, just good ethical behavior and just giving them wisdom? That's where you get your name, Mama Jan. That's where people.
You know what? The whole.
Who called you that for?
Well, there's a lot of discussion about that. The person who probably carried it public, if you will, or made it a common knowledge was Usher, because he was in the public eye and claimed me as Mama Jan. There are other clients of mine. You know, John Hopkins, who plays with the Zac Brown Band, was one of the first people who coined me as that, and Jeffrey Butt's another client of mine. So there's a lot of discussion about who started it actually, and I don't really remember because it's been so long. But, yes, ma'am.
With you being in the industry so long and having such an ear, can you gauge a talent's career? Can you, when you work with Justin Bieber or Usher, did you know that they were going to be a great success?
I think that I know it when I hear it. I don't think that anybody can really say this person's going to be successful, because what makes somebody successful is how the public actually responds to them and consumes that. It's like a hit song. A hit song is when Martha goes to the Kmart and buys 9 million copies of it. You know what I'm saying? It's not about, is it a good song? Okay, but a hit song is really more about how much money it generates. So a hit career, you have a lot of artists who may be less than desirable, but they have great careers because they are characters and they're celebrities. But do I hear real artistry when it walks in? Absolutely. Yeah.
Jan, talking about that vortex of Hollywood.
Yes, ma'am.
If you've seen one of your stars start to get caught up in that, do you speak only to your performer? Do you talk to their parents? What do you do?
Well, it depends
How
on.
involved do you stay?
It depends on if their parents are around. Some of them are adults, and so their parents may not be in the picture. But for me, it's about meeting people where they are versus being judgmental of what they're doing. And I think that also continues to foster the trust that they have in me, knowing that I'm going to love them and accept them. I'm still going to help them. I'm also going to be honest with them, and I have boundaries, me personally, and I attempt to help them to know what theirs are. But I'll talk to whoever, if it's their manager, if it's the record company, it's the big. I don't really have a problem at this point in my life, and they all kind of expect that from me, that I am who I am and I say what I say. If they don't want me to say it, then they can take their business somewhere else.
There you go.
You know, this is a question I think everyone wants to know. What does it take for anyone to work with you?
Yeah, good question.
Well, they have to call in. Well, at this point in my life and career, I'm honored and privileged to be able to work with those artists that are either signed to labels or management, or those who are national and touring artists. But I have an incredible staff. There are 7 other vocal coaches at Jan Smith Studios, and they're highly qualified and very, very good folks. And we see probably 200 people a week running to catch up with the blessings. So,
I want to ask, what is your signature of all time? What's your signature advice that you give for vocal coaching?
The first thing is your body's your temple, and it truly is. And without taking care of your health, I feel like I'm a personal trainer for vocal athletes. I'm also a janitor. I clean vocal toilets. So the bottom line is, it's really about getting people to understand that if you're healthy and you feel good, you're going to perform better. And then you can kind of get into the other parts.
We'll be right back with Jan Smith.